enough to publish a text of mine, but now the story goes even later about that. I love the Chinese because it's madness. You remember that 2 months ago they passed a law regulating reincarnation, no? And I love this, that it's not a joke, like, you know, if you want to reincarnate there, you have to fill out a form, where, how. And then I can even imagine, I have this evil imagination, how some bureaucrat in Beijing says, you want to reincarnate as a llama? Sorry, all posts are taken. There are some insects free, some dogs there, make your choice. But it's quite clear. But now they're playing the game even further. I read a couple of days ago that now Dalai Lama, in reaction to this, because this law regulating reincarnation, the whole point is to prevent Dalai Lama choosing his successor. Now Dalai Lama claimed that maybe he will not reincarnate, but he will organize something like the council in Vatican, some kind of a parliament of all Buddhist figures, Tibetan, to democratically elect the next Dalai Lama. The irony is that the answer of Chinese government was, no, you are violating the tradition. Dalai Lama should be reincarnated and so on, because they want to control it. My point is that it's too easy to say that they are simply that they are simply faking. We are back to that model that I used of a chicken. A chicken doesn't know. The mode of belief today for us is not that we directly believe, is that we need to relate to another one, a child, or as for Stalin, it's the pure appearance. It's another who believes for us. That's our typical strategy today. You don't have to believe, but you need to know that the chicken doesn't know it, as it were, that we need a chicken. And here, okay, to repeat an old joke, I use it in my book, here the formula of this belief was given perfectly by Niels Bohr. You know that wonderful story about Niels Bohr, who he had at the entrance of his country house a horseshoe, superstitious object preventing blah, 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 evil spirits to enter the house. And he was asked by a friend scientist, why do you have this? Are you crazy? Do you believe in this? Niels Bohr said, of course I don't believe it. But friend asked him, but why do you have it? He says, of course I don't believe that horseshoe protects the house. But he said, but I have it there because I was told that it works even if you don't believe in it. That's how beliefs function today. We don't believe in it. We are very rational, cynical. But we nonetheless believe that it works even if you don't believe in it. And at this level we are ultra-fundamentalists. And this other belief, this transposed belief, this is the most difficult thing to accept. It's not for you to be an atheist. It's for you worrying, does my child know, or the innocent figure know? Their things are, this is where ideology is today. We have no illusions, but there is a chicken who has to have illusions for us. How should I put it, no? Okay, I'm sorry I got lost a little bit, but that's that.
Wonderful ending point. Just because I was leading into my question, you give a great position on ethics, as it were, but I was wondering, where do you stand as for how we progress toward the future with dealing with ideology? You give a good criticism of the cynic in The Sublime Object, right? Yeah. But
not
I
only
was wondering,
there,
what is the alternative in our now postmodern world?
That's a good question. I will tell you. Okay, I can only give you a very abstract number. I think that the problem I see is a political, but not in this superficial sense, to find a political form. The problem today is that we have, on the one hand, this, let's call it liberal individualism, whatever, and then these new forms of, or rather, return to old communities and so on. Is it possible to invent a new collectivity to overcome individualism without regressing into some kind of traditional community, to invent a new form of collective? And this, I think, it's deeply political. It's why many thinkers, philosophers, to whom I feel very close, like from Alain Badiou to Giorgio Agamben and so on, are so focused on St. Paul. St. Paul is for them a political project of precisely community of believers, which is not a traditional community, It's not a traditional hierarchy, organic community. It's based on universal truth community of believers. I mean, this is for me the crucial question. Or to put it in another way, the problem is how to not accept what I referred to apropos the death of Christ, the fact that the big other doesn't exist, but not as sometimes, here I have problems with some Lacanians, Miller even, and others around him, who basically adopt this would be maybe an answer to you. Their view is that psychoanalysis provides, to put it naively, the ultimate authentic insight. But it's just a momentary insight. You see, there is no big other, void, whatever. But then life goes on and you have to return to some kind of illusion. In other words, the idea is that our social life is necessary illusory. And all you can do is get these momentary insights. I think if this is the case, then life is boring, no? I think that the whole point is, can the very fact that, as Lacan puts it, there is no big other and so on, does this mean that it's just a radical truth, you know, like Lacan develops apropos Antigone? Is truth just this momentary encounter? For a moment you see it, you shouldn't look too long into the truth, then it renders you blind, then you must somehow return to the world of illusions? Or can we make truth operative in politics, in social life? Of course, my whole point would be, yes, we can. And I think more and more that, how should I put it? Okay, I will not develop it now, how, but that the whole development pushes into this direction, social development, in the sense of problems from ecology to other problems, they will push us in this direction. For example, ecology would be another mega example of what I said, ideology. On the one hand, it's absolutely a real problem, ecology. But I think that precisely because of this, ecology is one of the biggest fields of ideological investment today. I mean, I think there was a book written by an American, he's called Tim Morton, something like this. I'm sorry, I'm bad for names. With a wonderful title. I think the title of the book is already Ecology Without Nature. I think that should be also you.
Haven't heard of it, but...
No, but it's a wonderful book. No, what he means is not some kind of subjectivism. What he means is that what we mean by nature, automatically, when we talk about ecology, the usual paradigm is there is some kind of harmonious organic reproduction balance disturbed by human hubris, and then we should re-establish the balance. I think this very paradigm should be radically dropped. If there is a lesson from radical Darwinians like Stephen Jay Gould and others, it's precisely that there is no nature. If by nature we understand this kind of a balance which was this, nature is crazy in itself. I mean, what is our main source of energy? Oil. What is oil? Can we even imagine what kind of a mega catastrophe had to occur on Earth so that there was oil? In other words, I think that this means that ecological crisis is even much more serious than we think. We cannot even rely, we have nowhere to withdraw. There is no balance to which we can return. The situation is totally open. And I like a certain crazy German ecologist who drew this radical conclusion and said that the goal of humanity should be not to re-establish any natural balance, but to violate nature even more. His idea is that nature left to itself would explode, render human life impossible. So since humanity can survive only in certain geographic, weather, and so on conditions, we should try and freeze the earth. So we should be even more violent and so on. In other words, I think we should totally drop all reference to all anti-scientific jargon, especially. You know, this is the usual ecological ideology. You know how the source of ecological troubles is our over-exploitation, objectivization of nature. We act as if nature is out there, the object, as if we are not embedded in nature, breathing with it, so we should step out of technological attitude and live with nature. I think this is a problem, not a solution. The problem for me is the following one. We all know we are in deep sheet, warming, whatever. The problem is, why don't we act? I think it's a perfect example of what in psychoanalysis is called the fetishist disavowal. I know very well, but. We know it very well, but.